If you ever wondered why you know what the right decision is, but you still can't move, why you freeze, avoid, overthink, or shut down, even when the stakes are high, this episode might change how you see yourself forever. Because most leadership decisions aren't made in your mindset, they're made in your nervous system. And if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, clarity, confidence, and consistency don't stand a chance. If you're new here, my name is Corey Logaitis, otherwise known as Corey Lowe. I'm a keynote speaker, leadership strategist, and author of the upcoming book, The 5 Overwhelm Culprits. And today we're talking about one of the most neglected and most powerful drivers of leadership behavior, the nervous system. Most people think that their struggles are about discipline or motivation or mindset or even time management. But the truth is, your nervous system decides before your brain does. When your system feels safe, you think clearly. And when it feels threatened, you default to survival. And survival doesn't look like failure. It looks like overworking or people pleasing or avoidance, emotional numbness, decision paralysis. And I know better, but I can't do better. That's not a character flaw. That's physiology. In 2018, I lost a loved one to suicide. And in the aftermath of that loss, I was physically incapable of doing anything. I would wake up in the morning and I was incapable of taking care of my son. I had, thank goodness, an au pair as well as my family was able to step in and help. I couldn't get to work. I couldn't get my body out of bed to get in the car and go to work. I just remember sleeping a lot and just sitting in my bed. And it was like my body was in full shutdown mode. I had so many moments of mental shutdown, of fog, exhaustion, disassociation. I was functioning externally in that I could get up and I could eat and I could talk to people, but I was completely dysregulated internally. It was like I was a walking zombie. And it was impossible for me to try to continue to think my way forward when my system was in shock. It was just straight up in shock. And when you think about it, my nervous system wasn't broken. It was protecting me. And that protection shaped every decision that I made afterward. High achievers are especially vulnerable here because you're conditioned to override your body, push through discomfort, stay productive no matter what, perform under pressure, and to just generally be strong. So when your nervous system is overwhelmed, you don't slow down, you speed up, which only ends up deepening your dysregulation. When your nervous system is in survival mode, your prefrontal cortex goes offline. Decision-making narrows, creativity drops, emotional regulation weakens. And your body then starts prioritizing, am I safe versus what's the best strategic move? And this is why clarity disappears in crisis, why confidence collapses when you're feeling pressure, and why consistency feels absolutely impossible when you're depleted. You cannot outthink a dysregulated nervous system. It just won't happen. So what does this look like in leadership? This shows up as avoiding decisions that you know you need to make. Staying in misaligned roles because uncertainty feels dangerous. Micromanaging because control feels safer than trust. And burning out while telling yourself, I should be able to handle this. I know I definitely did that while I was sitting in bed completely paralyzed after the suicide loss. I kept telling myself, like, why can't I get up? Why can't I do this? I was really unkind to myself during that time frame. And truth is, your leadership isn't failing. Your system's just overloaded. So here's the reframe. Regulation comes before clarity. You don't create better leadership by pushing harder, by optimizing more, or by adding another system. You're going to create better leadership by restoring your safety or restoring your team's safety, by slowing the system, and by rebuilding capacity. This is why conditioning, which is physical and mental health and wellness, i.e. your nervous system, is one of the core overwhelm culprits. You're conditioned to perform on a regular basis, to perform and deplete, not to restore. And that's what we need to change. One simple question to start asking yourself is this a decision problem or a nervous system problem? If you could feel in your body that it feels tight, rushed, numb, exhausted, frozen, pause before pushing. Give yourself some grace. Clarity will come after you regulate, not before. This is exactly why I devoted an entire section of my book, The 5 Overwhelm Culprits, strategies to save your sanity without sacrificing your success, to lack of conditioning and nervous system restoration, because leaders don't burn out from weakness. They burn out from carrying too much without the right support. If this episode resonated, take the free Overwhelm Culprit Quiz linked in the show notes. It'll help you to identify whether lack of conditioning is the thing silently driving your overwhelm. Make sure you subscribe and share this with a friend or someone that you know who's been pushing through for too long. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for checking out The Next Step with Corey Lowe. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a review. Together, we'll transform overwhelm into action, and we'll keep taking the next step towards confident leadership. See you next time.